you eat a mushroom. An hour later, the ground is breathing. Your dead father is standing in front of you. He tells you exactly where the herd of animals moved. You go back to your tribe, you tell them, "You're right. This didn't happen once. This happened for 50,000 years on every continent, in every culture, completely independently." And what ancient humans actually did during these experiences, what they saw, what they decided, what they built, is the part nobody talks about. Ancient humans didn't stumble onto psychoactive plants by accident and then forget about them. They found them, they kept them, they built rituals around the ones that worked. A 9,000-year-old leather pouch dug up in Chile contained residue from 5 different psychoactive substances. 5 in one pouch belonging to one person. That's not someone who got lucky once. That's expertise. That's someone who spent years learning exactly what each substance did and when to use it. And this wasn't unique to South America. Ancient Egypt, blue lotus soaked in wine used in ceremonies. But what actually happened during these experiences? Not spiritually, not symbolically, physically. What did ancient humans see, hear, feel, and do? Because the answer is not what you'd expect. The ayahuasca experience, used across the Amazon for at least 1,000 years, lasts 6 to 8 hours. The first part is brutal: vomiting, sweating, shaking, purging. Ancient humans didn't try to stop this. They called it the cleanse, the body emptying before the mind opens. Then it hits. And here is what's genuinely strange. Tribes across the Amazon, completely isolated from each other for centuries, no contact, no shared language, all described meeting the same beings. Enormous serpents, jaguars, figures made of light that communicate without speaking. Not similar beings. The same beings, described in the same way, with the same behavior. One tribe in Brazil, one in Peru, one in Colombia. Zero contact, same serpent, same jaguar, same luminous figures. And these beings weren't decoration. They told people things: where the sick child's fever was coming from, which plant to use, where the animals had gone, whether the river was safe. Ancient humans came back from these experiences with answers to questions they had no other way of resolving. And the oldest cave paintings ever found, 40,000 years old. The shapes in them, the spirals, the grids, the tunnels of light, match exactly what the human brain generates at the start of a psychedelic experience. The first art in human history may have been someone drawing what they saw while tripping. This is the part that gets skipped, because it wasn't passive. Ancient humans weren't just lying there watching colors. They were working, healing sessions. Someone is sick, the group gathers, ancient humans enter the altered state together, and figure out what's wrong. Modern pharmacologists studying these traditions have found that the plant treatments prescribed during these sessions genuinely treat what they claim to treat. The knowledge isn't symbolic, it's biochemically real. Migration decisions. Nomadic groups couldn't afford to be wrong about when to move. These altered state sessions were used to make those calls. Where are the animals? Are the rains coming? Which direction is safe? Enough of the answers were right, often enough that the practice survived for thousands of generations. Conflict resolution. Multiple ancient cultures across completely different continents used group altered state ceremonies specifically to end disputes between tribes. Everyone enters the experience together. Everyone cries, everyone forgives. Anthropologists have documented this working with striking consistency. Memory storage, important information, routes, plants, ancestry, was encoded during ceremony and retrieved in future ceremonies. The altered state became its own filing system for knowledge that couldn't be written down. Ancient humans weren't escaping reality. They were using every tool they had to navigate it. But here's what's even stranger. Some of the most powerful experiences ancient humans ever had didn't come from any plant at all. They came from the body itself. And what ancient humans figured out about their own physiology is something neuroscience is only now catching up to. Your brain produces its own psychoactive compounds. Anandamide, named after the Sanskrit word for bliss, is released naturally during exercise, deep focus, and connection with other people. The runner's high isn't just endorphins. It's your brain generating its own cannabis-like compound. And ancient humans figured out how to trigger massive releases of it. 3 days without food, anandamide floods the system. Visions start appearing without any plant. 6 hours of continuous dancing. The brain enters a trance state that looks nearly identical on a brain scan to a mild psychedelic experience. Drumming at specific rhythms, around 4 to 7 beats per second, shifts brain activity into theta waves, the same waves recorded during vivid dreaming. Days alone in the wilderness without food or sleep. The brain starts generating experiences indistinguishable from a powerful planned trip. Now, look at what every major ancient culture on Earth independently figured out. Fasting before ritual, rhythmic drumming for hours, dancing to exhaustion, isolation in nature. No contact between these cultures, completely separate civilizations, same techniques, same results. Because the techniques worked. Ancient humans discovered the most powerful pharmacy on Earth was already inside them. But if this was so useful, so universal for 50,000 years, why did it almost completely disappear? The answer is darker than you'd think. When new religions spread across continents, they needed to be the only gateway to spiritual experience. Ancient humans accessing other worlds independently through plants, through ritual, through their own bodies, were a direct threat to that control. So, the knowledge became forbidden, the practitioners became criminals, the ceremonies became devil worship. Across Europe, across the Americas, across Africa, the same pattern everywhere. Burn the knowledge, execute the practitioners, replace the experience with approved channels only. And then, in 1970, it was finished off legally. Psilocybin and LSD classified as having no medical value, despite a commission specifically set up to advise on this, recommending against that decision. Despite researchers actively showing therapeutic results, the decision was political. An aide involved later admitted it openly. And so, for 50 years, something ancient humans used and refined for 50,000 years became completely illegal. Now, here's what's happening right now, because the science finally caught up. And what researchers are finding in modern labs is exactly what ancient humans already knew. Under psilocybin, parts of the brain that never normally communicate start forming connections. Visual processing links up with memory. Emotion links up with abstract thought. The self-critical internal monologue, the anxiety loop, the "I'm not good enough" voice, goes quiet for hours, and the effects last for months after a single session. Johns Hopkins, NYU, Imperial College London, all running serious trials. Treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, end-of-life anxiety, addiction, conditions that years of daily medication couldn't touch, showing significant improvement after 1 or 2 guided sessions. Australia legalized therapeutic psilocybin in 2023. Oregon followed. We spent 2,000 years calling ancient humans primitive for using these substances, and we are now spending hundreds of millions of dollars to rediscover exactly what they already knew. Here's the real point. For 50,000 years, altered states weren't a fringe activity. They were how ancient humans made their most important decisions, how they healed, how they navigated, how they stored knowledge, how they ended wars between tribes. It was infrastructure, as essential as fire, as essential as language. And the part that should genuinely sit with you, ancient humans weren't doing this to escape. They were doing it because it worked. Because inside these states, they found real answers to real problems. And they were right enough, often enough, for 50,000 years that the entire human species kept doing it. Right up until someone decided they shouldn't. Drop a comment. What part of this genuinely surprised you? I read every single one.